Hello, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good evening. I hope you're doing well today. Welcome to today's webinar titled Build a Strong Team in China, Mastering the Art of Hiring and Training Talent. The webinar is organized by the EU SME Centre in collaboration with the European Union Chamber of Commerce in China. My name is Aonan He. I'm the training coordinator of the EU SME Centre, and I'll be hosting today's webinar. So for the agenda today, we will start with opening remarks by myself and Ms. Fan Zhou, the National Vice Chair of the European Chamber Human Resources Working Group. And we have two keynote speeches today. The first one titled Strategies for Successful Staffing and Hiring in China. That is going to be presented by Mr. Roland Brouwer, who's the Regional Director in Europe from Bible Service. Another keynote speech for today's webinar is titled The Art of Training and Motivating Your Team at Your Plant, which is going to be presented by Mr. Christian Gassner, who's the General Manager from Limos in Shenzhen. Both of them will share their knowledge and insights with us today on how to successfully hire talents and how to efficiently manage a team after hiring, which I believe are extremely crucial for small and medium enterprises, especially when you want to succeed on smaller teams to achieve the productivity and innovation goals. So you're in good shape for today. I highly suggest you to come up with questions as you're listening in, and our experts are here today to help. So after the two keynote speeches, we are going to have a panel discussion that is going to be moderated by Ms. Daisy Yan, who is the chair of European Chamber South China SME Forum. Our panel discussion is also joined by Ms. Fan Zhou, as well as Mr. Trevor Dean, who is the general manager of Around Dongguan. So as you're listening in, again, please come up with some questions that you found really intriguing from our presentations, and our moderator Daisy would try to address them in our Q&A session eventually. And yeah, that's basically our agenda for today. Now, please allow me to just say a couple of words about the EU SME Centre concerning who we are and what we do. The EU SME Centre is a European Union initiative funded under the Single Market Programme that provides hands-on support services to European SMEs, getting them ready to do business in China. Launched back in 2010 and currently in its fourth phase, implemented by a consortium of 6 partners and associated partners, the Centre provides advice and support in the areas of business development, law, standards and conformity, and human resources. Now, let's take a closer look at our free of charge services. We provide a self-diagnosis tool, an online tool that measures that SMEs can use to measure their readiness towards the China market by answering a set of questions. It is a recommended first step for SMEs planning to do business in China. Through our website, you can access the Knowledge Center as well, our comprehensive library of market reports, guides and case studies to improve your knowledge in China market. As a core service, we also offer confidential and practical first-line advice on managing your China business, helping you to save money while making sure you have the right information to support your business decisions. The training center provides on-site and online trainings to plug the knowledge and skills gaps of SMEs entering the China market. And apparently what we're doing today is one of the training services we offer. And last but not least, the EU SME Centre operates an advocacy center providing coherent, consistent and consolidated voice for SMEs vis-a-vis Chinese policymakers. And also we're currently working on a report on the HR issue. So stay tuned, and once it's up, you'll be able to see it on our website as well. So that's all from my part. Now, please allow me to introduce to you Ms. Fan Zhou to present, say a couple of words on behalf of the European Chamber. Ms. Zhou, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Aonan. Dear distinguished guests, thank you, Aonan, also for introduction to the center and the event. And a warm welcome to all of you joining us today for the webinar. It is really a privilege to gather professionals from various sectors to discuss the pressing matters of talent strategy for small and medium-sized enterprises. Please allow me to give a small introduction to the European Chamber. European Chamber was founded in 2000 by 51 member companies. We share the goal of establishing a common voice for the various business sectors of the European Union and the European business operating in China. The Chamber is a member-driven and a non-profit organization with a core structure of 26 working groups and 9 forums representing European business in China. Our European Chamber now has more than 1,700 members in 7 chapters operating in 9 cities: Beijing, Nanjing, Shanghai, Shenyang, and also South China, Guangzhou and Shenzhen, and Southwest China, Chengdu, Chongqing, and Tianjin. And the HR initiative is a new tool in the Chamber that will bring advocacy activities, events, training courses, and monthly newsletters all over the 7 chapters of the European Chamber. And this is the first time in 20 years that our Chamber has a working group in all 7 chapters of the Chamber. HR is a key topic to discuss and study, and is fundamental in the day-by-day management of our member companies. We have 7 HR working groups and the foreign chairs in the 7 chapters, and they will lead the topics such as leadership and management skills, diversity and inclusion in the workplace, staff recruitment and retention, HR trends, policy updates and interpretations, next generation workplace, competence management, digital transformation, and also more. In today's rapidly evolving business landscape, small and medium-sized enterprises play a vital role in driving economic growth and job creation. It is essential to navigate the challenges of talent management effectively to stay competitive and thrive in the future. Therefore, the topic of today's webinar is both timely and also crucial. European Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Centre and the European Chamber seize this opportunity to gain deeper insights into HR matters specific to small and medium-sized enterprises to provide valuable support for our common growth and development. With further ado, let's welcome our first speaker, Roland Brouwer, Regional Director and Corporate and International Relations at the BIPO Service, to share strategies for successful staffing and hiring in China. Warm welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zhou. Roland, please share your screen, and the floor is yours.
Hey, first of all, I would like to thank the EU SME Centre for hosting this event. Actually, I've been working together with the EU SME Centre already for many years. 10 years ago, when I lived in China, I worked in Wuhan. At that time, I already had regular contact with the EU SME Centre. They had excellent reports for small and medium enterprises that we also provided to our companies as well. And also with questions we weren't sure of, how we could also consult the EU SME Centre. So I'm very happy that after 10 years, we're still in touch with the EU SME Centre and continue our work. I present during this webinar several topics, but the main focus will be, of course, on staffing and hiring in China. Okay, next page, Catherine. Yeah, great. Well, I start with a short self-introduction. If you go to the to the previous page. That's my self, of course. My name is Roland Brouwer. I'm the Regional Director, Europe, Corporate and International Relations. I've been working for BIPO for almost a year. BIPO, I will introduce a little bit later, has an HR service company. But my previous experience in China goes back many years. The last 10 years, I worked in China in several jobs related to the Dutch government. I was located in several countries, several cities, starting in Wuhan. Then I moved to Qingdao, and the last 5 years I was located in Shanghai. And what we did was investments and trade promotion. So we helped a lot of Dutch companies settling down in China, business development, some advice about regulations, etc. On the other side, I also assisted Chinese companies with investment plans in Europe and in the Netherlands as well. So yeah, 3 very different cities, very different experiences. Wuhan, definitely a city that was developing fast, but on the other hand, also a city you could really walk for hours without meeting any foreigners. Qingdao would be something in between, and of course Shanghai had a much more international vibe to it. Okay. Next page, please. This is a slide about BIPO, the only slide that I present about our company, so you have a bit of an idea of what we are doing. We provide HR solutions for companies of all sizes, so that can be medium-sized enterprises, it can be multinationals, and services that we provide are, for example, EOR, Employer of Record. I will tell a little bit more about EOR later on in the presentation. Global payroll and HRMS, human resource management systems. And of course, had a combination of all these, we try to automate and create financial benefits for companies by adding all these services and technology together. We're quite big worldwide. Our headquarters is in Singapore, but we also have offices in China, in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and Qingdao. And in Europe, recently, we also established offices in Spain, in Germany, in the Netherlands, outside the EU, in the UK and Turkey. And we're about to open offices in Denmark, Italy, and France. Okay. I start with this page because it gives a good overview of what the challenges are when companies go abroad. And you can see that staffing and hiring HR is a huge challenge in this whole process, from recruiting to administration to management. These are all aspects that companies really have to consider when going abroad. So just very clear, HR plays a huge role when expanding abroad, and also brings in a lot of challenges. Okay. Just to start from the beginning, if you go to China, if you go abroad, what should we be considering? Of course, you look at the market research, you choose a location, you look at the legal and regulatory requirements, the business structure, financial considerations, and intellectual property protection. But quite clearly that also here, HR is playing a huge role in the beginning. If you choose your location, it will directly influence, of course, the people that you can hire. If you set up your business structure, then also that will influence your hiring options as well. Of course, it's not a one-fits-all solution. Every company that settles in China, every European company is different. But yeah, it gives some kind of information and some considerations. However, every case, every project needs to be customized. Okay. Here, when you go abroad, sorry, previous page, Catherine. If you go abroad, there are a lot of criteria to choose from. I will not go through all these criteria. But also here you see there are several already related to HR. You see the labor pool, you need the right staff. You see the cost of operations and also labor, including the labor cost. Then if you settle in a city, what will the labor cost be in that city? Also, if you are planning to hire expats, there's also things you need to consider. You need to consider the cost of living. You need to consider the quality of life. Also the friendliness to foreigners, and cultural and language factors that can also greatly vary about where you're going to locate in China. It happens quite often that people choose the wrong location. In my experience, also there were companies that just made wrong decisions. They thought they made the right decision, of course, when they started, but they did not. And one company, they located themselves in Jinan because they thought, okay, that's in between Beijing and Shanghai, where they had their clients and their suppliers, and the same in Shanghai, in the Shanghai region. But the people in Beijing were not happy. They say you're too far away. The people in Shanghai also said you're too far away. And also not only the location was not good, but also the partner of the director, an expat, was not happy as well at all. She was like kind of stuck in Jinan, and not a city known for its large expat community. So he also received a lot of pressure from that side as well. And in the end, the project even stopped. It was not a small project at all. Another example here is a company that wants to set up a LED screen production. They got all the support from the local government. It was a little bit more remote. And they said, okay, this is possible, but when they actually were on the ground, they faced a lot of issues. Hiring staff was difficult, especially at a certain level. They had to do with other departments instead of like the general government department that attracts investments. They had to do with the tax department, the labor department, and it was also one big struggle. And they regretted a lot. They said, we should have established ourselves more in an environment with more foreign companies, so that local government kind of knows how to handle it. Okay, next one. If you're settling in China, which city should you go for? Most people say, okay, go to Shanghai. Not always Shanghai, of course, is the best location. It's definitely the most international city in China. We see the number of foreigners dropping quite dramatically. I saw a number that only 0.05% of the inhabitants in China are foreigners, and it's even decreasing. While South Korea, also another country with many foreigners, the number is a lot higher. And most of these foreigners tend to live in either Shanghai, Beijing, and then maybe in Shenzhen and Guangzhou. So if you would like to be in an internationally oriented city, but cosmopolitan with a lot of facilities, these are probably the 4 best cities to pick from. But of course, there might be very different criteria that you choose your location for. Here you have a good quality of life. You have good connections, good infrastructure. So these might be some options to consider. Okay. Business structure and the hiring in China. Actually, a very simple overview here. I will actually read it, and then you know what to expect. Foreign SMEs, foreign companies located abroad, are not allowed to directly recruit staff in China. They need to have an WOFE, you can spell it 2 different ways, which stands for wholly owned foreign enterprise. It doesn't take too long to set up, about 3 months. If this is a step too far, especially in the beginning, there are other options as well. One is through a so-called employer of record solution, EOR, in which you do not hire the staff directly. And a third one is the outsourcing, but it's actually also quite different as well. Also, a representative office, RO, you might have heard of as well. They're also not allowed to recruit direct staff into their RO. Okay. Yeah, so kind of a little bit similar going on to last slide, direct hiring. If you want to direct hire, you need to set up a WOFI. If you don't want to do that, and you can make use of labor dispatch, employer of record, then you make use of a dispatch agency, and they are the legal entity. So the contract is signed of the employee with this labor dispatch. It has quite some advantages. It saves hiring costs, avoids administrative processes, and it also reduces risks as well. Also, one of the services that BIPO is offering as well. Outsourcing is something very different, then it really is about a certain task. When outsourcing comes to mind, mostly quite often related to IT outsourcing. A very specific task that needs to be done. So that might be another option, but only, of course, if this is what you need. Okay. What is EOR, employer of record? Actually, a lot of people are not familiar with employer of record. It's quite new, and it's actually not that new, but it's becoming very popular in recent years. It's also very convenient. It's not for everybody. If you're bigger and you need to set up your own entity in China, then probably this is not the way to operate your HR. But especially if you're in the starting phase of your operations, it comes in as a very helpful hand. You hand over the bulk of your HR operations to a team of experts, so you don't really have to worry about that. And they become then also the employer of your employee. On the other hand, you completely manage your own staff. So you're responsible for the daily management of your staff, and the EOR really moves on the background. So you hardly have anything to do with it if everything goes as it should go. You have state-owned EORs and also private ones. I have some experience with the state-owned ones, and in general, not too excited about it. So if you have the choice, I would definitely choose for a private EOR. Sometimes we also talk about PEO. It's a little bit different, but you might have heard of it. It's Professional Employer Organization, but it's quite similar to what EOR offers. Okay. Hiring staff. Compared to direct hiring, what are some of the considerations to use EOR? Company is not allowed to hire employees directly, of course. That is a very obvious reason. But also for companies that are just setting up, maybe they already have a WOFI, they can still make use of the EOR. And there are also some advantages there because they really can focus on their core business, what they are there for. They can focus on their marketing and sales, the business development activities, maybe some market research and network. Okay. And it also helps when you have an inconsistent workflow. All right, next page. Yeah, a little bit about foreigners. If you're planning to hire expats, these are some of the requirements. I suggest we skip this page. The second page shows you a little bit more about considerations that you can take to hire foreign employees and what is the advantage. Catherine, can you go to the next page? It doesn't count for all companies, but it's definitely something to consider. Number of foreigners in China has been dropping for several reasons. COVID was one, but actually long before COVID, the number of foreigners dropped already. One of the reasons is that international companies, they had a lot of expats, they were very expensive. They saw, hey, the Chinese market, labor market is developing, and they can be easily replaced by Chinese, which in salary-wise probably get paid the same, but they don't have all the advantages of what the expats have. But if you look at the advantages of hiring a foreign staff, they're still there. Foreign staff can really bridge between the headquarters and the Chinese office. Also, the expat comes with an established network, which makes communication with the headquarters, with clients, a lot easier as well. And it also creates a diverse team, and diverse team again can lead to innovation. Okay. Yeah, a lot of challenges, of course, in the recruitment. Yeah, there's a whole list. I will not go through all of them. But yeah, going to China, setting up your office, you will meet a lot of challenges that you might have not realized. Intense competition, for example, the economy in China was booming in recent years. A lot of tech companies, of course, that started to come up. A lot of job opportunities there. So yeah, there was a huge competition for foreign companies to recruit talent. Talent probably preferred, not all, but a lot of them preferred working for the bigger IT companies like Tencent, Alibaba, and many others. There saw more possibilities to grow. Another one is regional disparities. Yeah, in some cities there's a big difference between cities. In some cities it's really an imbalance. Difficult to find good staff. Maybe you can find English-speaking staff, but culturally they're not there yet, although they speak quite decent English. But if you start about some topics about culture, they have sometimes no idea what you're talking about. Well, in more developed cities like Shanghai and Beijing, you can have a decent conversation about that as well. Yeah, and also nationalism plays a bigger role, and more people, Chinese people, like to work for Chinese companies. They are very proud to work for Chinese companies as well. Many examples, working for Xiaomi, for Tencent, Alibaba, that gives them some kind of pride. And quite often these Chinese companies also offer them better career options too. Okay, next slide, and I don't have too much time. So probably leave it to this slide because it's quite interesting. These are some current trends in the Chinese labor market. Maybe you have heard of some before. The first one is 996. This is really something from the tech industry. 9 days, from 9 to 9, 6 days a week. So only on Sunday you have a day off. And that's really what's happening in tech companies. I visited Tencent several times, and yeah, I was there one time in the evening, and a huge lineup of taxis. And yeah, they were waiting until 10 o'clock because at 10 o'clock staff could go home and then they could claim their taxi ticket. So also companies really stimulate employees working for a long time. But there's also a counter movement, which is the laying flat. People trying to do as little as possible to come by. Other trends that we see is gig economy, flexible work. On the right, you see a picture of many people applying. Actually, unemployment rate is quite high at the moment. Under newly graduates, about 20%, because of a bit of a mismatch between college graduates in the labor market. remote working after COVID is becoming more common, not as common yet as in Europe, but it's yeah, definitely in some industries has become quite acceptable as well. And the picture on the left, how you see like the work-life balance. Also, that's a topic that's becoming more trendy in China. But China is a big country, so it's not like that everybody is busy with work-life balance. But you see the trends that more and more people pay attention to that, especially in the more well-established, larger cities. Okay, yeah, I still have some information to go, but time is up. So hopefully in our Q&A, we can continue with this part, and feel free, of course, to ask questions during the Q&A as well.
Thank you very much, Roland, for sharing your insights and suggestions. Because of our time limit, let's just proceed this webinar to our second keynote speech that is going to be presented by Mr. Christian Gassner. You may now share your screen.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope everybody can see now my shared screen. Yeah, my name is Christian Gassner. First of all, thank you very much to the EU SME for giving this opportunity to share my experience. And thank you very much, Roland. This was a very fruitful information. Yeah, I also experience a lot of this and struggle with the same problems as everybody who would like to establish a company here or already have a company here. That is our daily struggle, which we have, and hopefully in the Q&A session we can share some more questions and getting a little bit more clear about some certain questions we all may have. For companies who are already here, let me introduce myself. My name is Christian Gassner. I work for the company Limos. I'm 20 years in China already. Starting from the south and went up to the north and work in different companies and help different companies to grow up, establish company, building companies from the scratch. Therefore, I can feel what Roland have is a very big struggle. And but I came from a quite big company in Germany. It's called Miele and part of Siemens, which some of you might know. My problem was there all the time when I'm in these companies and working, how to share. I have a good idea, how to share what is the best for the company, how can I improve my own work. And then I was thinking, when I see the bosses walking around, and I'm questioning myself, are the bosses really the one who know the company so well? I'm sure that they know what happened in their own facility, but I never saw that the people really think what happened on the workspace. So then they see the line running, they see the efficiency, and so then I struggle when I say, who know better what is good for the company, you or the workers, or which solutions is the best for your workers? It is always the matter between you and the workers. And there's a lot of many companies having different options, how to share the improvement, how to share some good idea. We call it in Japan, they call it the Kaizen improving to make the company lean and some. So, but why the people are not sharing? Why the people is not telling you what they want? Because I think they hesitate, they're thinking, oh, maybe the idea is not cool, and the boss will think I may be stupid, or they will think my idea is stupid. And you might know all these suggestion box. So that's everybody have the chance to give the idea, and maybe sometimes the boss or the leader of the department is giving it, looking at, and thinking, oh yeah, is an idea is good, or I can award the people who give the idea, or I will just throw it away and just forget about the idea. So I have never seen that this suggestion box actually is working fine. I have, in every company I've been, I'm looking, especially if they have this kind of suggestion box, I'm looking if they have this kind, and when I'm seeing this box, the first thing I'm doing, I try to look inside if there's anything in the box. Sometimes I can see a little paper, sometimes not, but anyway, on the end, I don't believe it's actually working. So giving it a reward, I'm the first one who is saying, okay, if somebody give me an idea, so I would definitely reward the people. But also is when you give goals for your team, is say, hey, we need to improve something here, you have a target, and end of the month you need to release some people, or you need to make the line a little bit more balanced or whatever. But it's never working well, because the pressure is too hard for them, or that they cannot come up with their own idea, because either they are people they have no interaction with, because they don't have interaction with the people who is in charge. People do not know where's the paper, how can I write my idea, or people don't recognize the purpose of bringing any suggestions. So what is my advantage? What is my advantage of it? So then in all the companies I've been, they're practicing similar thing, which we all know in European company, in Chinese company, they're all practicing the similar way. Then I went to Japan, and there, at that place, we try to invent something different, and I call it Xiaotian. Xiao for small and Tian for sweets. Xiaotian is an allowed team member to express themselves freely and fully, to understand their idea, to understand their way of thinking. This means every single worker in your company can give the free idea and get rewarded out of it. So the thing is working like that. So we going to invite the whole, we inviting the whole company and explain the rule of the games. We prepare a little bit money, such as in cash, which is in China works for me as in the best way. Now probably is the WeChat money, the more efficient way. But at the time when we practicing this, we prepare in cash. In our location, we're taking 50 to 100 RMB for each idea. We're having a paper where the people can write down their idea, and this idea they can give to me, and in this idea, immediately I exchange the money to them. So the rule is like this. I'm talking to my people and asking them, how can I, or what do you think to make your life on your working spot as easy as possible? How can I improve your life in our company? So, and I award every single idea. So the people, when they're thinking, the worker, they standing on a line. It's not only workers, the worker, the office people, the warehouse, doesn't matter wherever they are. So they have their own daily struggle. And with this daily struggle, and they say, oh, I need to have a better seat. I need to have the wall is a little bit thicker. This is too noisy. The air conditioner is broken all the time. We need to have another way closer. Any idea, or having even idea for technical improvements. Yeah, so whatever in their work spot, the people who working there 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, they know exactly what struggle they have in their daily life. And with this struggle, I let them write it down on a piece of paper. And this piece of paper, I was just telling them, so you give me a piece of paper and I will give you another piece of paper, which is the cash. So if you have 10 ideas, I give 10 times the cash. If you have one idea, I give you 1 time the idea. And I will pay every single idea. No matter if I think, and as I don't know immediately, because I just get the idea and then pay. And no matter if the idea is stupid or is this a genius idea, I will pay. Later, when I have a team set it up, which is checking which idea is a very good idea, then I can consider to do something. Is this a bad idea? Okay, there's no question. Then we don't do it. But the people at that moment is already rewarded. He have immediately the cash. He's immediately motivated and he's not struggling. Even the idea is, please, boss, paint the wall green tomorrow. That makes my work environment nice and I can work faster. And the neighbor tell, oh, paint the wall blue, and that makes my life better. Okay, then I will still pay that. So what I know on the end by this kind of method is that which people working in the company with me, they're looking for improvement, they want to grow with me, and I know the people who just want to have the cash. They just use the advantage that I'm paying them money for whatever, and I will give, and okay, I collect the money, but every company have thrown money in some certain way away already, which is, yeah, it's maybe not that efficient. We could spend that money more wisely. But in that moment, when you pay this money to the people who just want to get you, you know already that money is for these people, you know, you don't need to invest more. For the other people who give the good ideas, you know, this money is good invested. And for further ideas, you are willing to promote these guys, and you know, you can mirroring the people, how good and how bad, and which team member belongs to whom. You can separate the people according to what you think, what they need to do in the future, or what you want to do with them in the future. You need to have your special team to follow up. And what is very, very, very important is that you're not only collecting these Xiaotians, we call this paper, you also need to display it. So what we do is we collecting that when the company and the size, like we are around about 500 people, and we practicing this, yeah, around about once a year, we doing this kind of practice to getting new ideas. Then we getting around about 1,000, 1,500, depend on which is the follow-up. We also try to motivate them a little bit. So we going to the people and we encourage them to think about the ideas. So you get a little bit more, but most of the time the people are very enthusiastic. They're writing a lot of ideas. Yeah, one thing is to have the cash. On the other thing is they know I will do the changing for them and make their life as much easier as for them as possible. That doesn't work every time for every single people. Sometimes some changing needs a little time. Sometimes we can do it very quick, but you know by yourself that is a thing with which we all struggle with our daily thing, and that's just okay. On the end, you have to go through. It's very important that don't look at the money, what you spend. Yeah, I get 1,000 to 1,500 ideas. Those times 50 RMB. Yeah, it's a lot of money in the beginning. But to be honest, we have spent money more stupid, and that is a very, very, very good investment, because you will get immediately result. Immediately, on the day, on the spot, when you spend the money, you will get immediately the result. Yeah. So you have to, therefore, you need to check how many people you have. You need to prepare enough money in cash or in WeChat or whichever country is however you make payment possible. You need to check in advance. It's very important that you pay immediately. It's a little bit frustrating. That's when the last people have only one idea and then, oh, sorry, are running out of the money. That is a little bit frustrating for that people. You need to make sure you have enough money. There is no rule. Absolutely. No matter what idea, I will pay. That's always, I tell the people, just write down whatever you want, you will get the money. Just an exchange of paper to cash. The only rule which I give, we're not talking about the food, because food is something I tried for 20 years. I was not able to make everybody satisfied in a canteen. There's always, no matter how good the food is, there's always people who say, oh, the food is bad. Yeah? And on the end, they find whatever reason is. Food is the only thing which I make the rule, which I don't want to give anything about the Kaizen. So, and then when we have that, you know, on the left side on the pictures, you can see that is what it's now, because we're making it once a year. So we have five floors. So we have enough space to put it. We can put it nicely like that. You have the before and after picture. But when I started it, so on the right side of the picture, we get so many ideas. You can see I posted, even on the roof, I get so many ideas. And this is very important that you posted it, that the people see they are honored. The people see that hey, the boss is taking care of us. The boss is thinking, and he will do some changings. It works in every country. It works when you, before, for example, if you want to set up a company in China or in Asia or somewhere, you can doing this practice already at your own place where you're already working at. Then you can bring some ideas already when you're coming over, or when you're already here. It's a practice you can do every time a year. It works for office, it works for any kind of occupation. This kind of technique works. There's a follow-up, but for there's another technique which you can follow up on that to still motivate, but the time is also not enough for today. This is the way I'm doing it for 20 years, or now 15 years I'm doing that with this practice, and I'm very, very successful with this one. There's no other way you can get so many cool ideas from your staff, which is working every day and struggle and working with the part which we're giving them to be successful. And they are very, very happy to share these ideas, and they're not hesitate to not sharing with their boss. And you will see that you have the whole company is much more enthusiastic after this kind of practice which we're doing. And once you're sharing it, like on the picture, don't be shy. Put it under the roof, put it wherever you find space, paste it on the wall. It is cool, it looks cool, it is a fun project, and the people are happy. And that is what we all want. That's my ending for what we want. Is we would like to have happy associates. We would like to have our operation smooth running. We would like to have everything is going good. If your staff, if your associate happy, is the boss is happy, and this works in one team, then the company will be successful. That is my strong belief. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chris. That is such an excellent and exciting sharing of yours, and thank you very much for that. I'm going to leave the comments and feedback for our panel discussion and Q&A. So Daisy, if you're there, sorry. Now, I think, yeah, we should proceed to our panel discussion. Just let me.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Anna. Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank EU SME Centre for the opportunity to organize this event, especially for SME in HR topic, because since since I took over the role as the chair of European Chamber SME Forum, we have been discussing on this topic many times already. So I think this is very important for us to have this opportunity today to have both including professional service providers such as people and also have company representatives such as Trevor. I'm not seeing Roland and Chris's profiles, but anyways, actually the panel today, we have 4 speakers, including Roland and Chris. You already had the presentation. And also we have Trevor, Ding, and Zhou Fang, the chair for HR forum. So today I would like to, as we were talking about HR topic and Roland, Chris have presented some sharings, my first question would go to Fang. Since you probably have noticed in the panel, except me, there's only 1 female speaker. So my topic is relating to this. My question for Fang is, I know you work for Bosch, which is a manufacturing company, and most of the time the manufacturing companies are dominated by men. So how do you create a more inclusive and diverse environment for SME in a manufacturing company? Fang, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Daisy, for giving me the opportunity to answer this one. Regarding the small and medium-sized enterprises, yes, in the manufacturing field, it's usually dominated by male, and this is somehow related to how we say, talk in the HR area for diversity and also inclusion. From the past experience we had, and also looking to the future, actually female presence and also competence are growing in the field of manufacturing as well. The key point is that we have to find ways to attract female workforce into small and also medium-sized enterprises, especially with a focus in manufacturing area. Current educational structure in China and also equality are highly promoted and also steered by the governments. From our side, I would say for small and medium-sized company, we should design and also promote certain kind of measures to attract a female workforce, not only in the blue collar area, but also in the office staff. In many manufacturing side, for example, in the direct area, we usually call the blue collars. From the personality point of view, female workers are more obedient to instructions, and they will follow also the competence build up more closely. Compared to the traditional manufacturing field, with the digitalization and also Internet of Things, we can see the trend of automation and also digitalization. This also reduces the natural strengths that the female workers compared with the male workers. That's in the direct area. For indirect area, diversity is more immense. We can see that more and more females in the field of manufacturing and also in the engineering side. At this moment is for us, for small and medium-sized enterprises to welcome the change, because the geographic change have already led to the point that we can attract more female workforce into both indirect and also direct area. That's from my part for the comments. Hopefully this can answer part of the topics we are interested in this field. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Fang, for your sharing. I totally agree. I think actually currently we also have seen the trend that more female leaders and also more traditional male designed for, not designed, but traditionally taken by by male now are also being taken by female. So the boundary is gradually disappearing, and we look forward to more diverse and inclusive environments in every company, especially for SMEs. Thank you so much again, Fang. So my next question is for Trevor. I actually went to your plant last time for the factory tour, and you made a very good impression, and I totally agree with the points that you shared last time. So this time I would like to have the opportunity to ask a question to you, because I think this is also very common issue for most of the SMEs. The question is how to, from your experience, how to reduce the turnover rate, especially for manufacturing, small-sized manufacturing company, where the location usually is quite remote, and you need to use a lot of worker, but most of the time the line, especially the line workers, the turnover is very high. So how do you reduce it in your experience? Thank you, Trevor.
Okay, thank you, Daisy. Thank you for having this opportunity to share our experience. So I make this answer very short. It's only 5 points. The first one, in that design that company structure, we try to design that company, that environment, the structure, everything that employee like to work here. Usually we are doing business, then we usually put the business first and the people as second. But quite often we need to find a balance between that people and business. If we put the people first and business second, it will be easier. That is our experience, because if we take care of our employee, then the employee will take care of their work and also take care of our business. For that motivation, second one is that we also provide that the room for employee to choose what they like to do, and also the way they could choose or suggest how to do that, and also then relatedness belong to this organization. Company take care of that our employees, and also then between different departments and groups, and people also support each other. Then for third one, for the leadership style, I think this nowadays it's for the teenagers, it's not like 20 years ago. So that style need to be adjusted a little bit to change that management to coaching, to inspire that employees to suggest and speak up about their ideas and the way of their thinking to improve the work, and also that's the life after the work. Then that's most important and the hardest is that company culture, then build up that learning organization. Every that employee should have this a chance to learn and to develop inside that company. Also, that as Chris mentioned, that Xiaotian, that improvement ideas. And last year we have more than 7,000 improvement ideas and 190 improvement projects. by doing this improvements project, then people will feel they could contribute their thoughts and value to their business. They have that direct or indirect influence to the business of the company. The last one is that employee welfare. Then we have this, let's say, free kindergarten for every employees, no matter the employees have 1, 2, 3 children. Then it's for free for everyone to put their kids in our kindergarten, or even that students in that primary school after work, but if their parents still working inside the company, then we have that teacher to take care of their kids from the school. Also, we have this basketball court and badminton, table tennis, and library, and also this entertainment for the employees out of work. So now with that happy employees, then we have better performance and also their low fluctuation rates. Thank you, Daisy.
Thank you so much, Trevor. In fact, you also mentioned the point that I had the biggest impression from last time, which is the daycare, or as you said, the kindergarten approach, because that's something that's quite different, and most of the companies are not doing it. But I see the reason behind it, and I think according to your experience, it's working very well. Because most of the challenges we see from SMEs in manufacturing SMEs, they are facing the challenge that they cannot find employees who want to stay there for a very long term. And also most of the time it's because they have a baby, they have to take care, especially female, relating to another question that I raised for Fang. A lot of female workers, they need to, as soon as they have the baby, they need to take care of the baby, and then it's a few years wasted. But now with your strategy, with this daycare option, they can bring the kid and they can go to work. As you said, when they are happy, they want to stay with the company. So I think that's something that's really impressive, and I hope that we can give other SME companies a little bit inspiration. They can find their way to make their employees happy. Thank you very much again for your sharing. Now let's move on to my next question. My next question is for Roland. Thank you again for your sharing. The presentation was very detailed, and I think my question for you is relating to hiring. As you also mentioned in your presentation, most of the foreign SMEs are facing the challenge that is to find the right person for the company. In your experience, or from BPO's perspective, what advice do you have for SMEs when they are trying to hire talents? Because according to our members' feedback, now they are facing, especially for companies who are in the big or tier 1 cities, they face very intensive competition from big Fortune 500 companies, or even Chinese big companies. So when they have a limited budget, what's your advice for them to find the right talents? Thank you.
Yeah, actually many approaches, and actually quite interesting, because Trevor already mentioned one, childcare. Of course, in China there are many changes in the society. Before, in general, it was quite simple. Women, they would retire when they're 50. They could take over care of their grandchild, and everybody would be happy, you know, had the mother and the father could go to work. But it has, of course, been changed in recent years. Have people work longer, women work longer, so they cannot immediately take care of the children. Some of the grandparents even don't want to take care of the grandchildren anymore, at least not on a full-time basis. So something has to change, and I think European enterprises are at a very good position had to jump into this trend. We are already used to it in Europe. We already have a lot of solutions that make it possible for this kind of like flexible work, remote work, part-time work, etc., but also for childcare. And so I think if you really focus on good solutions for this group of people, take care of a work-life balance, still have the career opportunities there as well, make sure there is some remote working available too. I think that really caters to a new group of people that is rising, and of course the Chinese companies will follow suit too. But I think the European companies can be faster here too. It's not necessarily a bad time actually to recruit people at the moment. Of course, the EU Chamber survey was again quite negative this year about business, European business in China. But there are also some highlights that we see. After COVID, the governments have become a lot more supportive again for attracting FDI. So yeah, make use of these, maybe of their programs that they provide. Get in touch with them. So at least it's a welcoming environment at the moment. At least in many industries, and there's a relatively high unemployment rate in China at the moment. Not necessarily all the staff that you would like to have, but there were huge layoffs in tech, in the tech industry, in the education industry as well. Due to COVID, people got unemployed too. So yeah, maybe actually a good time for entering China at the moment. And also opportunities to recruit proper staff. There are other ways too. I'm not sure if time still allows what companies can do as well. One of the things they can do is focus on their employer brand. If you go to China and nobody has heard of you, really build on your brand. And there are many ways to do that. Of course, WeChat is an excellent chat to do that. Create a community, and from that community try to build a larger community as well, and from there try to find proper people by job listings, for example. Things that remain important, of course, for Chinese is growth and development opportunities. So yeah, you really have to stress, when a person comes to work for you, there are opportunities in your company. You can grow. There are growth programs. There are initiatives, incentives had to work for us. So that is, in all cases, important too.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Roland, for your sharing. Very, very helpful, very practical. And I think most of the SMEs would appreciate to listen to your advice. Okay, now let's move to my next question for Chris. From your presentation, I heard, or I felt that you were actually very, let's say, you trust your employees. You gave them a lot of trust, and you awarded them for giving feedback or honest improvement feedback. So I wonder, how did you build this trust on employees? Because from my understanding, or from the feedback from the SME entrepreneurs, especially SME entrepreneurs, I felt that there's a level of the trust between the boss and the employees is not so high. For example, when we were talking about recruitment of new talents, some entrepreneurs thought about working from home, but they don't really trust the employees to have them not coming to the office and delivering the same quality of work. So my question for you is, how did you, or what advice do you have for entrepreneurs from SME companies to build this trust between the boss and the employees? Thank you.
Okay. What I believe is that during in 20 years in China, as a foreigner, it is a little bit more easy as when you are a local boss. The local bosses are, I feel they are much stronger. Yeah, and when I'm as a Westerner, so I'm taking my people like a friend. Yeah, so I try to reduce the barrier as much as possible. Sure, we go out for soccer, we're going out for play, but this kind of thing, yeah, that this works for the moment, and then you will be the boss again. But I think as a foreigner, it is a little bit more easy. And if you're thinking, if you need to go, stay in a line, I talk to the people, I put my hand on the shoulder and in the line, in the front of the other people, I give them and say, hey, you did a really great job. So, and I'm talking then, and so everybody can hear what I'm talking to him. So I'm doing that with everyone, and not every day each people. So, but I go to the line, I just talk to each individual randomly, and then let them feel, yeah, hey, I'm not the boss, I'm your friend. So and I'm treating them also. And what we do is as well, we have every department, they have a certain money which they can use every month to build with their own team make a party, going out for dinner. So this they can have every single month, and most of the time they're dragging me in. So, and I have to stay with them and have the party together. So it's not the party that you can, that they're drinking or whatever. It's just a dinner, just like the casual. We don't talk about work. That's the only thing. Yeah, we don't talk about work the whole evening. And I also don't give on that particular evenings, I don't give this speech and how cool you all are and how many you have done a great job. No, we are at that moment, there is no limos. We are only people which we know each other, and we're talking about family. We're talking about how struggle it is on a highway with a traffic jam, and how bad the food is, and where is the coolest food on earth. Yeah, so we're making the restaurant hopping every week, another restaurant or whatever. So, but no work, and every month, every department have their own certain money for going to whatever they want to do with this money as a team, and no talking about business and the whole evening. And it works fine.
Good, thank you. Great to know that you have this team building fund, and that's probably the best part of the day, when they go to spend the money without even thinking about work. That's really, thank you so much for sharing. So being mindful of time, I guess we need to go to Q&A session, because I already see a lot of questions are coming in. So I'm going to check the questions. Okay, now there is one. Okay, this question is very interesting. This is a question for Roland. Question is, from your experience, what are the top mistakes made by the companies when they are trying to build leadership structure in China? Thank you.
Yeah, of course, some was mentioned here before too. Yeah, what is a very bad idea is to get somebody in from Europe and act as the boss. Of course, there's nothing wrong with getting into somebody in from Europe and plays a role in the management team, even becoming the general manager. But yeah, in Chinese culture, people tend to listen to the boss. And if the boss does not give the right commands, etc., the right instructions, it will lead to nothing. So you need a very experienced boss to come to China first of all, and you need also one that really can work together with the Chinese staff and also build a team that is a combination between Chinese staff and Western staff as well. So yeah, that is my main suggestion for this point.
Thank you. So you are saying that the biggest mistake usually is they send someone from Europe to China with the boss mindset. And actually on this point, we have seen a lot of changes during this, especially during the COVID period, when many of the companies, they cannot send people from headquarters. So there are more and more local GMs, local managers are taking over the leadership role in China. So from this point, what do you think? Do you think this is a good thing, or do you think this is still too early for? Because do you think this is for European companies, they are losing their identity if it's going to work when everyone, or let's say the whole company, is managed as is only Chinese, only the shareholder is foreigner? What do you think about this structure change?
Yeah, it can work, but it's definitely not going to work in all cases. Also, a bit depending on how much experience they have. Also, definitely depending on the management team at the Chinese company as well. There are some risks that the two are driving further and further apart. That there is no bridge anymore. There's very little communication. Maybe some team members from Europe, they fly in to 2 times a year before they can fly into China at all. So the distance between the two will become further and further apart, and that's of course something you would like to avoid. And there are many ways to avoid that. Of course, one of the ways is to have a dual management team consisting of some people from abroad, some people from China, but it can also be like somebody from, let's see, an Italian company. You have a CEO Chinese, but he studied in Italy. People like that can also form a bridge. Not always, but could also be able to create this bridge as well. But definitely there should be always a bridge between the two, because if they separate too much, then in the end there's no reason to stay together, and then it's two different entities.
Thank you so much for the answer, and I think I totally agree. There still needs to be a bridge between the headquarters and the Chinese company. Okay, let's go to the next question. Actually, the other question I kind of already asked, but let's address it again. For a small, or maybe another speaker would like to answer from their perspective. So when it's a small foreign company with very limited budget, how do they attract and seek development to attract candidates when they are recruiting? Any other speaker has any thought on this topic?
I don't have a solution which is maybe helping, but I think it is not so complicated in the recent time, at least in the GBA area. So there's a lot of platforms, and in doing it in the, I mean, if you find a blue collar worker, I think it's pretty much easy to get it, because most of the cities they're providing they're having booths, and then you can sit there. It is a little but because you have the low budget, you said, there are booths you can sit, and they're providing space, and then you can present your own company, and then the people passing by, and they come to you, and then you can talk to them and you can hire them. And then you have, of course, the most easiest way is right now out of the blue, I don't know the name. There are 3 major internet platforms which you can put your request online, which is most of the time you will get feedbacks and doesn't cost a lot of money. Yeah, also the internet platforms are pretty good for white and for white colors, especially, and it doesn't cost very much. But you don't need to have all the 3 in the same time, but 1 is okay. You probably know the name of the platform better. If not, I will just ask my HR, but I think you know which platform is it. And for small money, is that a good way?
Thank you, Chris. I think the question actually came from a company in Shanghai. I'm not an expert on this, but
I can also comment a little bit, Daisy. Yeah, yeah, completely right, what Chris just said. But there are many portals, and also you also should think a little bit out of the box. So when you think about portals, maybe you think directly about job portals. There are many kinds of these job portals. Maybe Chris was referring to them, 51 Job, Zhaopin, Boss, Lipin. There are all these kinds of job portals. They could work, but then you really have to be a little bit established in China for a longer time. If you don't have an entity, you can actually not make use of this. But there are also other portals as well. They're very cheap, or some of them are even free of charge. Actually, the European Chamber has a job portal, the French Chamber, the Benelux Chamber, the Swedish Chambers. So have a look at these boards as well and post your vacancy there. You never know. It's mostly not like a huge audience that is looking at this. On the other hand, it's really an audience that is looking for these kinds of jobs. So it could also definitely help. Another organization is, if you're in Shanghai, go to Invest Shanghai. They're mostly also very helpful. So they are promoting foreign companies to come into the Shanghai region. Sometimes they also have some, depends a little bit per city. They also have some programs where they also introduce applicants, workers too. So that can also be a portal that you can use.
As well, one more thing is that is not the ideal, but for seasonal companies who are having seasonal up and downs are still the agent for the temps, who providing temporary workers is also an option. Not always the cheapest solution, but a quick and very solid solution, which can, for seasonal companies, can work with them as well.
Thank you both for the answers. And something I wanted to add on, it was not my personal experience, but that was something I learned from actually our last SME meetups, which is, I know the competition in the tier 1 cities for workers or for talents is actually very intensive. So what the member did was they opened a site in Xi'an where there's very good talents pool, and the job doesn't require to be in Shenzhen or to be in Shanghai. So this is just an inspiration. What if you have some cooperation with universities outside of Shanghai? Because in Shanghai, you need to compete with big companies. But if you can work together with universities outside, like in West China, there people have lower expectations and their salary base after graduation is actually very low. If you can attract people from those areas, attract them to come to Shanghai, I think that's also one of them. The possibilities that you can explore. This is from what I learned from the SME meetups and just wanted to share on this topic. Okay, I guess we are right on time. I'll give it back to Anna.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you, Daisy, and thank you everybody for for your efforts and energy for this webinar. I personally have learned a lot from this as well, and I'm actually gonna go back to the recording and like try to gain more insights in it as well. So before everybody leaves this webinar, I would like to ask you to take 1 minute to scan this QR code so that we can know what you think about this webinar, and also what we could do in the future to basically improve our services to you all. This is really just, for you to help us to know what we could do to better serve in the future. So please kindly do this for us. And again, I just want to say thank you to everybody, speakers, our panelists, and also the event organizer, Leon, from the European Chamber, who has helped a lot to put this together. So I wish you all well, whoever is participating today, and thank you very much for your time again. Stay tuned for our upcoming events, and I hope you are having a great evening tonight.